Travis Wayne Goodsell. So I think it was back on the 19th when Brad Wilcox was in the church news. And apparently it was a week before then when he had talked to the young boys again. This time, he was talking to them about using God's grace to save young boys from the porn epidemic. Well, Holland had taught us that porn was like COVID, and COVID was a pandemic, not an epidemic. And then M. Russell Ballard told us he was blind. I was told as a young boy that blindness is caused by porn. I'm confused. What is it? What is this danger of porn? Can women tell us? Why are your bodies so dangerous? Why do you have the looks that kill? Why do we turn to stone when we look at you? Only to be castrated by a pope who then puts fig leaves over us. Oh, so many jokes. And so let's go back and review the history of Brad Wilcox. Brad Wilcox first got exposed for complaints that he was talking about sexual material with young children. And after that hit the local news, the church, going silent on the issue, didn't reprimand him at all, and quashed the news so that the news wouldn't cover it anymore. Until Brad Wilcox got exposed for past racial comments and sexist comments. The joys of the cell phone. Recording what people say. Yep. And so at BYU, where he teaches, because it's a lay ministry for the young men's presidency, they still have to get jobs. He was confronted by the Black Coalition at BYU. They wanted to have a talk. Which in marriages, when your spouse, your wife, approaches you and says, "We need to talk," fear just goes all the way down our spine. And we're searching our brains desperately, trying to figure out, is it our anniversary? Is it her birthday? Is it Christmas? Did I forget to take out the trash? and he ran and hid. He brushed them off. Yeah, we'll make an appointment after the weekend. And then ditched them. The church, realizing that this scandal was not going to go away, no matter how hard they tried, sent Brad Wilcox on a super sacred secret mission to Africa. The repentance mission. And of course they covered it some weeks later, because that's how the church does it. They like to report things long after it happened. You know, with Nelson falling, he didn't tell us until 3 weeks later. And so, time goes by. Mormons forget about him. And then, one conference, he's giving the prayer. And I'm the only one who caught it. I'm the only one who covered it in a video. And nobody cared. Because of YouTube's anti-Semitic hatred towards me. It is a hate crime to send me hate comments, death threats, etc. If you didn't catch on when I talk about Joseph Smith and the Book of Mormon and the learning of the Jews, it was a trap. And so some more time goes by. And then Brad Wilcox makes the news again. And now, on the 19th, he makes the news again. Oh, right, conference. The next conference, that's the next thing. He got promoted to the first counselor in the Young Men's Presidency. He was previously a second counselor. That's right. I remember now. And so now, as the first counselor, he's back out on speaking tours, and he's talking about sexual explicit material. Born. And so, as I'm noticing what the church's response to Brad Wilcox is in relation to the compromising conditions he's put himself in, as the church is wanting to dismiss it in the public eye and ignore that it ever happened. And you see how Holland, right before he contracted COVID, right before conference, he was under fire as well. He was supposed to speak at one of the Utah universities further south, and the students protested because of previous talk in which he said we should shoot LGBTQ with a musket. And so that's kind of inappropriate for a prophet of the living Jesus, non-Trinitarian. And so, yeah, he didn't get to speak at conference. Whew. He dodged a bullet on that one, and thus didn't get to speak at the university. And so then, likewise, M. Russell Ballard. He's in the press before conference as he's got a situation with Tim Ballard. And he's lying to the press that he had any affiliation and support for Tim Ballard. And it was a known lie. It was exposed. Documents were found. Pictures were found. And so then I think conference was first, and he comes out and says, "I'm blind. I've been looking at porn." And then after conference, new charges are filed in which M. Russell Ballard is now being accused of handing over tithing documents to Tim Ballard, which is a felony crime. And then, oops, he's dead. And so now there's a question of how they're going to handle that with the lawsuit, because they still were given tithing documents. And so they'll have to go through the presiding bishop on that, I guess. I'm not the lawyer in the case, but people who sue the church tend to make mistakes and let the church get away with their crimes. Right, James Huntsman? And so, with the death of M. Russell Ballard, there is an opening in the Quorum of the 12. And just as a disclaimer, even though I've already set it up, it is not the practice of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to call apostles early and put them right to work. Only for the president of the church, as Nelson let us know. Everybody else has to wait until conference, when we have the sustaining vote, for them to proceed. And then after the conference, the hands are laid on their head to become official. And then they can begin working. That has been the traditional practice and procedure. And so interviews won't even be done, whether it's by Nelson or Oakes, until the countdown to conference in March next year. And sometimes not even until 1 or 2 weeks before. Usually the week before, that's when dress rehearsal and makeup is involved for conference. As you can tell, I don't do makeup. What you see is what you get. And so I guess the Black Apostle's been replaced by Brad Wilcox. Which again, I see this happening here. They're grooming him. They're putting him into positions in which he then gets promoted. He's being promoted here. He gets himself in trouble, and he's promoted. And so, yeah, I full on see what they're doing here. And they're putting the church in danger here, because he's already a known racist, pedophile, and sexist. We've already got the videos. And typically, it's not until you're an apostle that people find out that you're a racist, sexist, bigot, sexual deviant, Satan worshiper. Not before. The church typically, with such scandals like this, would say, I'm sorry, Brad. You're too compromising for the church. We can't put you in. We're just going to let you run your course and let you die off. we won't even make you emeritus status because of the controversies that follow you. But no, the church is wanting to dismiss it all. The church is wanting it kept hidden. And they're promoting him. He's elevating. So, yeah, this is a very curious thing. And as he is a full-on lapdog for the apostles, I guess, man, it's very clear that he's wanting to be promoted. He's excited to see what's happening to him as the church is protecting him. And so I'm not sure if there's something else involved in the secret combinations of the halls of the church office building and administration building. Because I've seen that in my workplace here in Utah. A completely incompetent manager is promoted only because he has dirt on the regional manager. As he runs his businesses into the ground for the region. And so, yeah, he was actually used to be transferred into our store for Blockbuster Video to run it into the ground. And he did. He's such a good boy. You're such a good boy. Such a good boy. Yeah, can you run it into the ground? You can run it into the ground? Oh, good boy. Good boy. Now play dead. Because we had just turned that Blockbuster Video on 56 into in the black. We were always in the red. And while I was there, we were able to turn it into a profit-making business, and we're well on our way to having $1 million surplus for that store by the end of the year. And it caught the attention of the upper management of the corporate offices. And as we got a visit by them. But yeah, that wasn't the intention. The one further down on 62nd was supposed to be the $1 million store. Oops. So, anyway, memories on the corner of my mind. That's what I see happening. The church is grooming him for something. And there's a spot open. And there's potentially more. Holland, near death, Eyring could go any day. And of course Nelson. And so who knows who else. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Pay attention. And since I'm well under my normal time for videos, next year, the April conference is the final conference before the end of the latter days, according to scriptural prophecy and the learning of the Jews. And so after conference, the millennium starts. The church has been trying desperately to prepare everything so that they get their kingdom back. And if they are able to succeed by next conference, that's when Jesus is going to appear. They've already told us. I've already seen his palace being built there at Temple Square. They're building it now. The palace for Jesus is being built. Isn't that exciting, Mormons? And so they were going to unveil Jesus for us. They were intending to unveil the restored, remodeled Salt Lake Temple. They have a big dedication ceremony on that Saturday. It's still uncertain and is not likely to happen, as the church has put out a statement saying it won't be until 2025, 2026, 2027, 2028, maybe by the Winter Olympics in that 34 that Utah was just approved for. So far away from here. But yeah, if they succeed and get their kingdom back, yeah, I can see putting Brad Wilcox in. Because who's going to stop them now? They did it. And so they will control the whole state of Utah. And they will implement their covenant path upon everyone, whether you're a Mormon, whether you've left the church, whether you were excommunicated from the church, whether you're a refugee from an Islamic nation seeking to overthrow Utah with all of your Muslim centers throughout this valley at key infrastructure locations. And so yeah, I see that coming. Because people who, and those never Mormons, can't forget you guys. I've been warning you. It's not just leaving the church. You have to actually leave this valley. You gotta leave Utah. That's what it means by get out of Babylon. Because the church is going to put in the most awful of human beings into the apostles. And when you have such awful people who already have a history of abusive and authoritarian, creepy criminal behavior, what do you think that's going to do for Mormons? King Noah.